The Galactic Empire had suffered loss of control and pride, yet they could not accept defeat. Their fleets had been humiliated by a handful of human ships, not through destruction, but through cleverness, courage, and laughter. Captain Arvok stood on the bridge of the Oblivion's Eye, staring at the stars where the humans had disappeared. His face was pale, his jaw tight. "We must regroup," he said, "but how do we fight a species that does not fear us, that laughs in the face of our strength?" Admiral Rethar, standing beside him, said quietly, "Captain, I have studied them carefully. Humans are not like other species. They are small, yes, but they are fearless, creative, and united. We cannot win by force alone. That is their advantage. And worst of all, they know it." Arvok clenched his fists. "We have the largest fleet the galaxy has ever seen. We have weapons that can destroy planets, and yet they mock us while we fail." Meanwhile, Captain Elias Voss and the crew of the Intrepid Dawn drifted quietly among the asteroid fields near their hidden base. The human ships were small, but they were calm, confident, and ready for whatever came next. Elias studied the tactical display. "They will return," he said. "Larger, stronger, angrier, but we know the advantage we have. Courage, wit, unity, and laughter. That is what they cannot predict or control." Lieutenant Mara smiled. "Captain, they think numbers and technology make them strong. They don't see that humans can win with brains, courage, and teamwork. And a little humor helps too." Elias laughed softly. "Exactly. Let them bring their fleets. We will meet them. Not with fear, not with anger, but with confidence, creativity, and laughter." The next day, the Empire fleet reappeared. Their dreadnoughts, cruisers, and support ships filled the void. Weapons arrays glowed, shields shimmered, and energy beams hummed with power. They were ready to strike, and they expected humans to flee, but humans did not flee. Small ships moved calmly through the asteroid shadows, their movements precise, coordinated, and confident. Holographic decoys appeared, confusing targeting systems. Missiles fired by the Empire detonated harmlessly. "Here we go again," Mara said, watching the displays. "They think they are in control, but we will show them the true meaning of human ingenuity." Elias smiled. "Patience, observe, then act." The Empire fired massive beams, hoping to overwhelm the humans. But the humans anticipated each attack. They deployed energy nets that disabled weapons temporarily. Gravity distortions forced massive ships off course. Holographic decoys drew fire away from real vessels. And always, human laughter echoed across communications, light, confident, and mocking. Captain Arvok's face grew red. "Shut them down. Stop their communications. They cannot mock us." Lieutenant Koran hesitated. "Sir, they are not mocking out of cruelty. They are confident. They are showing they are not afraid." Elias watched calmly. "Exactly. Confidence is their greatest weapon. And ours too." Hours passed as the battle continued. The humans did not attack recklessly. They moved with precision and patience, disabling weapons, confusing fleets, and guiding the Empire ships into positions where they could not act effectively. Finally, Elias gave the order for a final demonstration. The humans deployed a combination of EMP pulses, gravity distortions, and subtle energy waves. The result was immediate. Multiple Imperial dreadnoughts had weapons offline, shields flickered, and fleet coordination broke down completely. Over the comms came a calm, human voice. "See? Control without destruction. Confidence without fear. Cleverness without cruelty. That is how humans win." The Empire fleet faltered. Officers shouted, engines flared, and weapons misfired. Arvok's pride was shattered. He realized that humans were not only clever, but disciplined, united, and fearless. And worst of all, they laughed while teaching the lesson. Elias gathered his crew. "Remember this moment," he said. "We have not destroyed them. We have not killed. But we have shown them what humans are. Courage, creativity, and laughter matter more than numbers or weapons. That is our strength." The humans withdrew slowly, guiding the Imperial fleet out of the asteroid field without unnecessary conflict. Every action was controlled, precise, and deliberate. The Empire was left humiliated, their pride wounded, their confidence shaken. In the Empire Council chambers, Arvok reported the events. His officers were silent, humiliated, and angry. "They did not destroy our fleet," Arvok said bitterly, "but they controlled us. They mocked us. They defeated us without a single loss of life."
"How is that possible?"
Rethar shook his head. "Captain, it is because they do not fear us. They fight differently. They are unpredictable. And they work together. That is their advantage. They are humans. The humans rested on their asteroid base, repairing ships, sharing stories, and laughing quietly at the faces they had seen on Imperial monitors. Their victory was not through destruction, but through demonstration. They had proven that a smaller, clever, united, and fearless species could challenge even the mightiest fleets in the galaxy. Elias smiled at the tactical display. The Empire will return. They always do, but they have learned something important. Humans are not to be underestimated. We fight with courage, wit, and laughter, and that is a combination they cannot predict. Mara laughed softly. Captain, I love that line, courage, wit, and laughter. It is true. That is why we are humans. That is why we win. Elias nodded. Yes, and never forget, we protect life whenever we can. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us stronger. Fear and destruction are temporary. Intelligence, courage, and laughter endure. The Empire fleet slowly retreated, regrouping in distant space. Their pride was wounded, their arrogance broken. They had learned a lesson about humans, a lesson that would echo across the galaxy. Humans were clever, fearless, united, and confident, and they laughed while doing it. Captain Elias Voss looked out the viewport at the stars. Let them come prepared, he whispered. We will meet them, and we will meet them with courage, creativity, and laughter. The stars around the asteroid field twinkled, silent witnesses to the unusual battle. Small human ships moved calmly among massive Imperial vessels, showing that size and power were not the only measures of strength. The humans had proven that unity, ingenuity, and fearless joy were equally powerful. In the quiet of space, human ships rested. Crew members shared stories, joked about their encounters, and repaired minor damages. They were ready for the next challenge. They had proven themselves not just clever, but moral, disciplined, and united. They had shown that humans were unpredictable, courageous, and fearless. And in the Empire, officers whispered about the strange species that laughed while controlling entire fleets. The lesson was clear. Humans could not be measured by size, numbers, or technology alone. Their strength lay in creativity, courage, unity, and joy. And the galaxy had only begun to understand what that meant. Captain Elias Voss looked at his crew, smiling. Remember, we fight not only with weapons, but with intelligence and courage. And we laugh. Always remember to laugh. It keeps the mind sharp and the heart fearless. The humans floated among the stars, small but strong, silent but confident. Their laughter echoed across the void of space, a sound that carried a powerful message to the galaxy. Humans were not just fighters. They were innovators, survivors, and a species to be respected. The Galactic Empire had learned a lesson it would never forget. Do not underestimate humans. They were clever, fearless, and united. And sometimes a laugh could defeat even the mightiest fleets in the galaxy. Elias whispered quietly, looking at the endless stars. The galaxy will remember today, but it will also remember how humans respond with courage, wit, and laughter. And in that vast, silent space the humans rested, ready for the future, confident in their strength, and united in their joy. They had faced the mightiest empire and won, not by firepower alone, but by being truly human. The alien ship was vast and strange, a silent giant drifting in the endless black. Lieutenant Arik Hale moved carefully through its corridors, his boots making soft echoes on the metal floor. Every step sent a shiver of anticipation through him. Something about this vessel was alive, not in the way humans understood life, but something older, aware and cautious. Arik paused in a large chamber. Panels flickered weakly, displaying symbols and patterns he could not read. A faint hum pulsed through the room like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. He set his portable scanner to record everything, hoping to understand even a fraction of what he saw. Endeavor status report, he said into his suit comms. All systems stable, the ship's AI replied calmly. Alien vessel remains dormant but responsive. Unknown power signatures detected in multiple sections. Recommend careful exploration. Arik nodded, ignoring the warning. He had a gut feeling that this ship wanted him here, and he intended to find out why. He moved deeper, following the pulse that had first called to him. The hallways twisted and turned in ways that seemed impossible. Gravity shifted subtly, making him feel slightly off balance. Panels displayed images. Alien planets, cities with towering spires, and creatures unlike any he had ever seen. It felt like a story unfolding before him, one the ship was trying to tell. In the central chamber, he found what looked like the bridge. It was enormous, with multiple levels and holographic displays hovering in midair. The largest display flickered to life as he approached. Symbols rearranged themselves, forming patterns that seemed almost like language. And then faintly he heard it, a voice not spoken but a feeling. A call of warning, fear, and hope all at once. Sarge froze. The ship was communicating with him, not through words but through emotion, through thought. It had been waiting for someone who could understand. Someone human. Who? Are you? He whispered. The hum of the ship intensified, pulsing through the floor and walls. He realized the ship was alive in its own way, a sentient entity that had survived something terrible. And it had chosen him. Suddenly, the silence broke. A section of the bridge shimmered as small drones activated, hovering in the air. They were damaged, twisted from impacts, but still operational. Their sensors glowed red and they turned toward Arik. Hostile? He asked quietly. No, the AI replied. Defensive protocols activated. They are assessing threat level. Arik raised his hands. I mean no harm. I'm here to help. The drones paused, tilting as if considering him. Then slowly, their red sensors dimmed. The ship itself seemed to respond, the pulse in the room slowing to a steady rhythm. Arik realized that trust was being measured and somehow he had passed. He set to work, connecting his human devices to the alien systems. Power cores flickered weakly. Life support hummed back to life, and the navigation systems began to respond to his touch. It was delicate work requiring patience and ingenuity. Alien technology was advanced, yes, but unfamiliar. He could not rely on brute force or standard procedures. He had to think, adapt, and learn on the fly. Hours passed. Arik worked tirelessly, repairing circuits, rerouting power, and stabilizing systems. Each success caused the ship to hum more brightly, as if acknowledging his skill. The pulse in the room grew steady like a breathing rhythm. He felt a strange connection forming, not just with the ship's systems, but with the vessel itself. Then the first warning came. A subtle tremor ran through the floor, faint but distinct. The subspace sensors detected an anomaly approaching, fast-moving, not human. Arik's heart quickened. Whatever had caused the ship's destruction might still be out there, tracking it through the void. Endeavor, identify the object, he commanded. The AI scanned the area. Unknown fleet detected. Multiple vessels approaching at high velocity. Recommendation, prepare for evasive action. Arik's jaw tightened. We won't run, not yet. We need answers first. He activated the ship's main interface, attempting to communicate with its core. Holographic displays flared to life, showing fragments of a story. Star systems burned, cities collapsed, and strange alien vessels moved like predators across the galaxy. The ship had been fleeing, carrying something important, something worth protecting. Arik studied the holograms carefully. Though he could not read the language, the images were clear. A predator fleet had attacked, destroying the ship's companions, leaving it alone and adrift. It had survived, but only barely, and now it needed him. As he absorbed the information, the ship pulsed more urgently, almost like it was warning him again. He moved to the outer hull, checking sensors and energy shields. The drones had reactivated, circling in silent patrols. They were not hostile, but ready to defend the vessel. Suddenly, a streak of light flashed across the distant void. Something massive was approaching, faster than any human ship could travel. The sensors could not identify it fully, only that it carried immense energy and destructive potential. Arik's mind raced. The alien ship systems were still weak. It could not withstand a full attack, but it could survive if used wisely. He began to calculate, improvising strategies based on human tactics. He would have to guide the ship, teaching it how to defend itself. He activated emergency shields and rerouted power to the engines. The alien ship responded, glowing with energy as systems hummed back to life. The pulse in the bridge became rhythmic, steadying him, giving him confidence. Hours turned into a tense vigil. The approaching fleet did not attack immediately, but hovered on the edge of sensor range, studying them. Arik realized the enemy was intelligent, cautious, and deadly. They had already destroyed the ship's companions. They would not hesitate to finish the job. Endeavor, prepare for potential engagement, he said, his voice calm but firm. We might not survive, but we will try to learn first. He worked tirelessly, adjusting shields, rerouting energy, and guiding the alien ship in evasive patterns. Each maneuver was risky, testing the ship's capabilities and his own skill. Yet, slowly, the ship began to respond in ways that amazed him. It moved with purpose, dodging energy pulses and drifting debris. It was learning from him, adapting to human tactics. By the time the approaching fleet had drawn near, the alien ship was no longer helpless. Its systems, though still damaged, hummed with potential. Arik felt a surge of hope. Together, they had a chance, not just to survive, but to fight back if necessary. He paused for a moment, looking out at the void. The stars were distant, cold, and indifferent. Yet here, in the middle of emptiness, a connection had formed. Human and alien, pilot and ship, linked by trust, necessity, and the shared instinct to survive. Arik knew that this was only the beginning. The alien ship held secrets, technology, and knowledge that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. And the fleet hunting it was just the first challenge. There would be more dangers, more tests of his skill and courage. But for now, he had stabilized the ship, earned its trust, and learned its first fragment of history. That was enough to prepare for what was coming. He returned to the main console, monitoring the alien vessel's pulse and the approaching fleet. The ship's subtle hum was comforting, a rhythm in the endless silence of space. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "I hear you. We'll face them together." Outside, the void stretched endlessly, filled with both danger and possibility. Arik knew that the galaxy was full of threats, but it was also full of opportunities, especially for humans who could think, adapt, and act in ways no machine or alien fleet could predict. The alien ship drifted alongside the Endeavor, pulsing faintly, a heartbeat across the void, and somewhere deep in its memory, it seemed to remember something lost, something worth protecting, and something that only a human could truly understand. Arik stood on the bridge, watching the stars, feeling the connection strengthen. The ghost ship was no longer just metal and circuits. It was alive in a way that mattered, and together they would face whatever came next. Because in the silent void, only humans could hear the calls that mattered most, and only humans could answer them. The alien ship moved silently beside the Endeavor, a massive shadow drifting through the endless black. Lieutenant Arik Hale sat at the console, scanning the void for any sign of danger. The faint pulse of the ship echoed through the hull, a constant reminder that it was alive, aware, and fragile. The subspace sensors picked up movement, small at first, barely noticeable, then growing. Something was out there and it was closing fast. Arik studied the readings carefully. He could not recognize the ship's shapes or technology, only that they carried immense energy and precision. They were hunters. "Endeavor, the fleet is approaching," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We're not alone." The ship's pulse quickened in response, like a heartbeat speeding with fear. Arik understood. The vessel remembered the attack that had left it adrift. It had survived once, but the threat was returning. He activated the alien ship's sensors, rerouting energy to defensive systems. Shields glowed faintly as power flowed through damaged circuits. It was not enough for a direct fight, but it could buy time. Arik studied the approaching fleet carefully. There were at least 6 large ships, sleek and predatory, with energy weapons that could pierce any known armor. He realized immediately that human tactics alone would not be enough. He would need to combine human intuition with the alien ship's ancient capabilities. "Endeavor, prepare for evasive maneuvers," he said, gripping the controls. "We may not know their full power, but we can outsmart them." The first attack came suddenly. Energy pulses streaked across the void, striking the alien ship's shields. Sparks flew across the hull, lighting up the darkness like distant fireworks. The Endeavor dodged instinctively, weaving through the void while Arik guided the alien ship in unexpected patterns. He felt the ship respond to him, moving as if it understood his thoughts. Hull sections shifted, engines pulsed, and systems activated that Arik had not even touched. It was as if the ship itself was learning from him, adapting its ancient power to human strategy. "Endeavor, they are scanning us for weaknesses," the AI warned. "Shields at 30%. Arik's mind raced. He needed to buy time. He activated an energy loop, drawing the attacking fleet into a trap he improvised. The alien ship's engines pulsed, releasing a faint burst that mimicked a warp signature. The enemy ships paused, analyzing, confused by the anomaly. "Good," he muttered. "Keep them guessing." The pulse of the alien ship grew stronger, almost rhythmic, matching his heartbeat. It guided him as much as he guided it, a silent partnership forming in the middle of the void. Arik realized the ship had survived this long not by brute force but by understanding, adapting, and choosing when to fight. It was a predator in its own way, but one that had been outmatched by something even greater. Hours passed in tense maneuvers. The alien fleet fired relentlessly, yet Arik's improvisation kept them at bay. He ducked between asteroid fields, spiraled around debris, and used gravitational anomalies to create unpredictable movement. The enemy ships could track power signatures, but they could not anticipate human intuition combined with alien technology. During a brief pause in the fighting, the ship pulsed more urgently, showing Arik visions of its past. He saw alien worlds consumed by fire, entire fleets destroyed, and the faces of the beings who had once traveled aboard. The ship had been a transport carrying something vital, a secret that must survive no matter the cost. Arik understood. The fleet hunting them was not just random attackers. They were seeking this ship and its cargo, and if they succeeded, countless lives and perhaps the balance of the galaxy would be lost. "Endeavor, we need a plan," he said, his mind working faster than ever. "We cannot fight them head-on. We have to outthink them." He activated the alien ship's ancient engines, channeling power to sections that had been dormant for centuries. Holographic displays flared, showing systems awakening that Arik barely understood. Yet instinctively he guided the ship into a formation designed to confuse, mislead, and escape. The first enemy ship fired again, energy beams tearing through the void. Arik tilted the alien vessel, letting the attack glance off weakened armor. Sparks erupted, but the ship held. It was responding to him in ways he had never imagined possible. "Endeavor, this is incredible," he muttered. "You're learning." The pulse of the ship seemed to grow brighter, almost as if it was proud. Arik felt a strange warmth in the cold void, a bond forming stronger than metal and circuits. The ship trusted him, and he trusted it. Together they were more than a human or an ancient vessel. They were a team, a force capable of surviving against impossible odds. Another wave of enemy ships arrived, and the battle intensified. The Endeavor ducked between floating debris, guiding the alien ship to mimic its movements. The attackers fired relentlessly, but each shot missed by fractions, the alien vessel moving in ways the enemy could not predict. Arik realized something important. The alien ship's greatest weapon was not its energy or its shields. It was its ability to think differently. It could adapt, change, and learn. Humans were the same way. By combining human intuition with alien design, they had a chance. He worked furiously, rerouting power, activating defense systems, and coordinating movement. Sweat ran down his face under the helmet, but he did not stop. Every decision mattered. Every moment could mean survival or destruction. Hours blurred. The fleet continued to press, but Arik's tactics began to turn the tide. They were not defeating the enemy outright, but they were surviving. The alien ship's pulse guided him to weak points in the enemy formation, allowing them to escape the brunt of attacks and move toward a safer sector of the void. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the enemy fleet began to retreat. Their scanners had picked up the adaptive maneuvers, and their confidence faltered. Arik allowed himself a small smile. "We're not out of danger," he said, still tense, "but we're alive. And we've learned something about them." The alien ship pulsed slowly now, a steady rhythm. It seemed to communicate relief, gratitude, and something else, trust. Arik placed a hand on the console, feeling the vibration beneath his fingers. "We'll make it," he whispered. Together, the comm lasted only a few moments. Sensors detected residual energy traces, a warning that the fleet was still out there tracking them. They had not given up. Arik knew the next encounter would be even more dangerous. He began analyzing the alien ship's systems more carefully. He discovered data logs, encrypted and ancient but partially readable. The ship had been fleeing a predator species, one that consumed planets and technology alike. Its cargo, whatever it was, had to survive to preserve knowledge, civilization, or both. Arik understood the importance immediately. The ship was not just alive, it was a guardian. And now he had been chosen as its partner. He worked through the night, repairing critical systems, stabilizing power cores, and synchronizing the ship's response with human tactics. Slowly, the vessel regained more of its strength. It hummed more steadily, pulsed more confidently, and began to move with purpose rather than drifting aimlessly. By dawn, the battle had passed, but the danger remained. Arik looked out at the stars, thinking of the fleet still lurking somewhere in the darkness. He knew the ship's past was dangerous, but it also held the key to survival and knowledge the galaxy had never seen. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. "You survived once. We'll survive again, and I'll make sure you get to where you're meant to go." The alien ship pulsed in agreement, and Arik felt a new determination rise within him. He had chosen to answer the call, and now the call had chosen him. In the silent void, human courage and alien intelligence had found each other, and together they were stronger than either could be alone. The galaxy was vast, full of threats, mysteries, and possibilities. Arik knew he would face challenges beyond imagination, but he also knew this: humans could adapt, think, and act in ways that others could not. And with the alien ship beside him, he had a chance to turn the tide, no matter what hunted them in the darkness. He settled into the pilot's chair, monitoring the alien vessel, feeling the pulse of life through its hull. The danger had not ended, but hope had arrived. For the first time in centuries, the ship was no longer alone, and in the deep void that made all the difference. The void of space was quiet now, but Arik Hale knew the danger had not disappeared. The alien ship, though stabilized, still bore scars from the attack. Its pulse was steady, yet faint tremors ran through its hull, reminders of its past battles and near destruction. Arik stood on the bridge, observing the vessel as if it were a living creature. In many ways it was. "This ship," he muttered to himself, "it's more than technology. It feels alive." The ship responded in kind, its pulse syncing subtly with his own heartbeat. Arik had learned to read its rhythm, fast when anxious, slow when calm, fluctuating when uncertain. It was communicating with him not in words, but in feelings, and slowly he began to understand. He had spent hours studying its systems, learning how its engines responded to human commands, how its shields could be manipulated, and how its ancient defenses could adapt to new strategies. It was a partnership, a collaboration across species and centuries. "Endeavor, status report," he said, running his hands over the console. "All systems stabilized, Lieutenant. Alien vessel is responsive and cooperative. Unknown energy signatures persist in several areas, but there is no immediate threat," the AI replied. Arik nodded, though he did not fully relax. The sensors still detected residual traces from the enemy fleet, scattered across the void. They had retreated for now, but they were intelligent, persistent, and deadly. And the alien ship carried something valuable, something worth hunting. He decided to explore deeper into the vessel. He needed to understand it fully, to uncover its hidden abilities, and to prepare for the inevitable return of the enemy. As he moved through the halls, the ship pulsed gently, guiding him toward areas he had not yet seen. The corridors led him to the heart of the vessel, a vast chamber filled with alien machinery and glowing conduits. Holographic interfaces floated in midair, displaying symbols and patterns he could not comprehend, yet the ship seemed to respond to his touch. It adjusted, shifted, and illuminated new pathways as he interacted with it. "It's learning from me," Arik whispered, "and I'm learning from it." He worked tirelessly, rerouting power through dormant systems, activating engines that had been silent for centuries, and stabilizing shield generators. Each adjustment caused the ship to pulse brighter, almost as if it were pleased. Arik realized that the vessel had a memory, and it trusted him to restore it. Hours passed in quiet collaboration. Arik could feel the alien ship adapting to human thinking, improvising in ways it had never attempted before. It shifted, rotated, and recalibrated, testing new maneuvers and defensive strategies. He guided it gently, teaching it how humans anticipate threats, how they improvise under pressure, and how they value life, even in the face of danger. "This is incredible," he said softly. "You survived alone, and now we can survive together." The alien vessel pulsed in response, faster and stronger. Arik sensed something in its communication, a combination of gratitude, relief, and cautious optimism. He had formed a bond with the ship, one that went beyond programming and circuitry. It recognized him as a partner, not just a pilot. Suddenly the sensors flickered. A distant ripple of energy approached, subtle but unmistakable. Arik stiffened. The enemy fleet was returning, likely tracking the alien ship across subspace. He had expected this, and he was ready. "Endeavor, prepare the alien ship for combat," he commanded. "We're not going to run, we're going to fight smart." He activated newly repaired systems. Shields flared, engines hummed, and the ship responded instantly to his commands. Arik guided it in patterns that mimicked human tactical maneuvers, while the vessel added its own adaptations. The result was a dance of precision and unpredictability, designed to confuse and repel any attacker. The first wave of enemy ships arrived, energy pulses streaking across the void. The alien vessel moved like a living entity, weaving and dodging, using its size and shape to deflect attacks. Arik's hands flew across the controls, guiding it with instinct and strategy. Every movement was synchronized, a collaboration of human intuition and alien design. As the battle intensified, Arik discovered something remarkable. The ship could create temporary energy shields and project subtle decoys, projecting images of itself to mislead attackers. It could manipulate its energy signature, making it appear larger, smaller, or in multiple places at once. And it was learning from him, adapting these techniques faster than he could have imagined. "This is amazing," he said, a thrill running through him. "You're evolving." The alien vessel pulsed brightly as if acknowledging the compliment. Arik realized that this was its strength. It could think, adapt, and learn, but it required a partner to unlock its full potential. Humans with intuition and creativity provided the spark it needed. Hours passed, the enemy waves pressing and retreating, testing them but never breaking through. Arik guided the alien ship through intricate maneuvers, dodging energy blasts, spinning to confuse targeting systems, and using gravity wells to gain advantage. The collaboration was seamless, almost instinctive. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat, unable to overcome the combined ingenuity of human and alien. Arik exhaled, feeling a rush of relief. The ship pulsed gently, a steady rhythm now, like a heartbeat of trust and understanding. But the danger was not over. Arik knew that the fleet would return, more prepared, more aggressive. The alien ship carried something vital, and others would stop at nothing to claim it. He needed to learn more about the ship, its past, and its purpose. He returned to the central chamber, examining the holographic logs. Fragments of history emerged. Fleets destroyed, worlds consumed, and the alien species that had once thrived aboard. The ship had survived centuries of conflict, guarding a secret that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Arik realized the significance immediately. The vessel was not just a ship, it was a guardian. Its cargo, technology, or knowledge was invaluable, and now he had been chosen as its protector. He would need to unlock the ship's hidden abilities fully to survive the coming battles. He spent hours analyzing energy conduits, learning how to manipulate power flows and experimenting with defensive systems. The ship responded intuitively, testing new configurations, adjusting shield patterns, and preparing for attacks. Arik felt a sense of awe and responsibility. This was no ordinary mission. It was a partnership with a being older than human civilization, relying on him to guide it. As he worked, the ship pulsed softly, almost as if it were communicating gratitude. Arik smiled, feeling the bond deepen. He realized something vital. The ship trusted him, and he trusted it. Together they were stronger than any enemy fleet could anticipate. Suddenly a warning flared across the sensors. The enemy fleet had regrouped, larger and faster than before. Their energy signatures were coordinated, and their approach suggested they had studied the alien ship's movements. Arik's jaw tightened. "This is it," he muttered. "Time to see if we've learned enough." He activated all systems, combining human strategy with the ship's ancient power. Shields pulsed brightly, engines thrummed with energy, and holographic decoys shimmered across the void. The alien vessel moved with precision, a living extension of his own instincts. The enemy fleet attacked. Energy pulses lit the darkness, but Arik guided the alien ship with skill and intuition. They dodged, twisted, and countered, using every advantage of their combined abilities. For the first time, the enemy did not dominate the battle. They were confused, off balance, and unable to predict the ship's movements. Hours passed in tense combat. The alien vessel's pulse was strong now, confident, almost jubilant. Arik felt the bond fully. They were partners, equal in strength and will, blending human creativity with ancient design. And for the first time, Arik believed they could survive anything the galaxy sent their way. Finally, the enemy fleet retreated, unable to overcome the combined ingenuity of human and alien. Arik exhaled, relief washing over him. The alien ship pulsed gently, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat of trust and understanding. "This is just the beginning," Arik said quietly. We've learned a lot, but there's more ahead, and we'll face it together." The ship's pulse responded in kind, and Arik felt a warmth he had never known in the cold void of space. Together, human and alien had survived, learned, and grown stronger. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but for the first time, hope was alive. And in the silent void, two hearts, one human, one ancient, beat in harmony, ready for the challenges that still lay ahead. The stars stretched endlessly across the void, cold and distant, but the alien ship and the Endeavor moved together with purpose. Lieutenant Arik Hale sat at the bridge console, his eyes scanning the instruments, every heartbeat in sync with the ship's pulse. They had survived previous attacks, but he knew the greatest challenge was yet to come. The fleet that had hunted them before would return, bigger, faster, and smarter. The alien ship's hum was steady now, a low and comforting rhythm. It had regained strength, systems long dormant now alive and responsive. Arik studied the holographic displays, piecing together fragments of the ship's history. It had carried knowledge, technology, and secrets from a long-lost civilization. Its mission had been interrupted by a deadly predator fleet, leaving it adrift in the void for centuries. And now, Arik understood it depended on him to survive, to continue its mission. "Endeavor, what is the fleet's position?" he asked, his voice calm but determined. Sensors flared. "They are emerging from subspace. Estimated time to contact 5 minutes. Unknown number of vessels, all heavily armed." Arik took a deep breath. 5 minutes would decide everything. He adjusted the alien ship's systems, rerouting power to shields, engines, and energy conduits. Every system hummed in response, ready to obey his commands. He glanced at the bridge. The alien vessel pulsed softly, almost like it sensed the tension. Arik felt the connection clearly now. The ship was not just responding to him, it was thinking with him, reacting to his instincts and preparing for what was coming. "This is it," he muttered. "Time to see what we're really capable of." The first wave of the enemy fleet emerged from subspace. Sleek, predatory vessels glowing with destructive energy, they advanced with precision and deadly intent. Arik's eyes narrowed as he studied their formation. They were faster, more coordinated than before, clearly learning from previous encounters. But he was ready. "Activate decoy holograms," he commanded. "Engage evasive maneuvers." The alien ship pulsed, engines flaring as it executed complex patterns weaving through the void, projecting multiple holographic duplicates of itself. The enemy ships fired relentlessly, but their attacks were misdirected, striking empty space or decoys. Arik guided the vessel with instinctive precision, combining human tactics with the alien ship's adaptive abilities. Minutes stretched into tense hours. The void lit up with energy bursts, flashes of light reflecting off the hull. Arik's hands moved continuously over the controls, adjusting shields, rerouting power, and directing evasive maneuvers. Yet the ship was no longer just following him. It anticipated his moves, adapting faster than any human mind alone could predict. "This is incredible," he whispered. "You're evolving. With me." The alien vessel pulsed brightly in response, almost as if acknowledging the compliment. It had learned from his intuition, human creativity, and the subtle art of improvisation. Together, they were more than pilot and ship. They were partners, a single force combining ancient power and human ingenuity. The enemy fleet adjusted, realizing the decoys were misleading. They closed in, energy weapons blazing. Arik's pulse quickened. He knew they could not rely on evasive maneuvers alone. They needed a decisive action, a strike that would turn the tide and ensure survival. He studied the alien ship's core systems, searching for hidden capabilities. Centuries-old technology, dormant until now, glowed faintly in the ship's memory banks. Arik rerouted energy into the propulsion matrix, overloading it slightly to create a burst of speed and energy projection. "Brace yourself," he said quietly. The ship pulsed and then surged forward, faster than the enemy expected. Energy arcs leapt from its hull, forming temporary shields and offensive fields. The fleet fired in desperation, but the alien vessel moved with grace, avoiding destruction while striking back with bursts of energy that disrupted enemy weapons. Arik guided the ship in a coordinated attack, using its ancient power to disable multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. Holographic decoys confused others, while precise energy strikes disabled shields and engines. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The fleet faltered, confused by the combined human-alien strategy. Hours passed in relentless combat. Aric's mind raced, calculating every move, anticipating every response. The alien ship pulsed brighter, confident, alive with purpose. Together they had outsmarted the predators, turning their own tactics against them. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat, unable to match the unpredictability and power of the human-alien alliance. Aric exhaled, relief washing over him. The ship's pulse slowed, a steady rhythm of victory and survival. He leaned back, watching the void around them. Stars glittered silently, indifferent to the battle just fought, yet somehow Aric felt the galaxy had changed. They had survived, not by sheer firepower alone, but by trust, intuition, and partnership. "Endeavor," he said softly. "We did it. We survived. Together." The alien ship pulsed in response, almost in a comforting rhythm. Aric realized that it recognized not just his skill, but his empathy, courage, and human instinct. Humanity's greatest strength had been the spark the ship needed to survive. And in turn, the ship's ancient power had amplified his abilities, creating a combination that neither could achieve alone. As the adrenaline faded, Aric explored further into the ship. He discovered hidden compartments, encrypted logs, and fragments of knowledge from the lost civilization it had once served. Holographic images displayed worlds, star systems, and technologies long forgotten. The ship was not just a survivor, it was a guardian of knowledge, history, and wisdom. Aric felt awe. This was bigger than any mission, bigger than any battle he had fought. The ship carried secrets that could shape the future of civilizations, and now he was its partner, protector, and guide. He realized that humanity's role in the galaxy was not just exploration or conquest, but also the ability to understand, adapt, and cooperate with forces far older and wiser. He spent hours integrating his knowledge with the ship's systems. They were no longer separate entities. The ship anticipated his commands while he understood its pulse and rhythm. It was symbiosis, a partnership across time, space, and species. "Endeavor," he said finally. "We have a new mission: survive, protect, learn, and maybe help others along the way." The ship pulsed brighter, almost like a heartbeat of agreement. Together they moved through the void, no longer adrift, no longer alone. The galaxy was full of dangers, but Aric knew they could face them. Humanity had proven once again that its greatest strength was not weapons or technology alone, but courage, creativity, and the willingness to act when others could not. As they drifted through the stars, a sense of calm settled over Aric. The alien ship, once a ghost in the void, now moved with purpose, alive and aware. It had found a human to understand it, to guide it, and to partner with it. And in turn, Aric had found a force older than human civilization, capable of incredible power, yet needing the human spark to reach its full potential. The stars passed silently. The void stretched endlessly, but fear and uncertainty no longer dominated it. Aric and the alien ship moved as one, a new alliance in the galaxy, ready to face whatever threats awaited. Together they would survive, explore, and protect knowledge and life across the stars. Aric smiled, feeling the pulse of the alien ship beneath his hands. "We've answered your call," he whispered, "and I promise we'll keep moving forward. Together." The void was vast, the stars distant, but hope was alive. Humanity had proven once again that it could hear the calls others ignored and answer when no one else would. And in that moment, a human and an ancient ship forged a bond that would change the galaxy forever. The pulse of the ship and Aric's heartbeat synchronized completely, a symbol of trust, courage, and partnership. The galaxy would not know of their alliance yet, but it mattered little. Some victories were quiet, some partnerships unseen, and some calls were meant to be answered by those brave enough to listen. For Aric Hale and the alien ship, the void was no longer empty. It was a place of possibilities, challenges, and hope, a canvas for a new story of survival, courage, and humanity. And as they moved together across the stars, one truth was clear: humans could not only survive the void, they could shape it, protect it, and bring life to even the oldest, most forgotten vessels in the galaxy. The alien ship pulsed one final time, bright and strong, as if declaring, "We are alive. Together." And for the first time in centuries, the void answered back in silence, carrying a human and a ship across the endless darkness, a testament to what courage, trust, and partnership could achieve.